hi Tubers, hi. I'm back with the 23 books of 2023, and right, blowing a gale out there, and it's raining, and if you pick up any sound, I've used a stabilizer for the tripod, but I've got to talk about this book. It's probably one of the finest books about being a refugee during World War Two. And it's based on a true story. It's called When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit by Judith Kerr. Now, she's the author of A Tiger Who Came to Tea. She passed away a few years ago. Now, I actually remember reading some of this when I was still in school. Yeah, so this book is just, it's fantastic. It is absolutely brilliant. And I read this literally in one sitting. I just absorbed it. Okay, it's a kid's book, but I don't care. This book needs to be read by everyone. Okay, it's from being a refugee, fleeing Hitler, from the point of view of a 9-year-old. Yeah, and it's based on Judith Kerr's actual own experiences. So, and read the blurb. Here we go. Suppose your country began to change. Suppose that without you noticing, it became dangerous for some people to live in it any longer. Suppose you found to your surprise that your own father was one of these people. That's what happened to Anne and Germany in 1933. Anne is too busy with schoolwork and tobogganing to listen to the talk of Hitler. But one day she and her brother are rushed out of Germany in alarming secrecy. But from everyone they know, their father is wanted by the Nazis, dead or alive. It's the start of a huge adventure, sometimes frightening, often very funny, and always very exciting. Okay? Let's be here. Judith Kerr was born in Berlin and left Germany in 1933 to escape the Nazis. Her Out of Time Hitler trilogy is based on her own experiences. There's two more in this, okay? And it's so interesting how it starts. Now, you often wonder, okay, about the rise of Hitler to power, okay? But this from the point of view of a child. They talk about it in school, okay? Oh, he's not going to win. He's too radical. And to them, it's kind of like a game, okay? You know, the adults are playing their politics and kids are just having fun and tobogganing and just being kids. And interesting as well, okay, is the fact that religion as well, because Anne is Jewish, as is her brother Max and her parents, but the family were Jewish, but they are Jewish, but they're not raised within the Jewish faith, okay? They celebrate Christmas, of all things, okay? They don't go to the synagogue, okay? They don't have any reason. It's not a book about religion. But even though they are Jewish, due to the fact, okay, their family is Jewish, but they don't see themselves as Jewish, but the world around them will see them as Jewish. And that's the most kind of important thing. This bit here, okay? Right. This is when Anne's friend Elsbeth, okay, is talking about how do you know you are Jewish? If you look the same as everyone else and you don't go to a special church, how do you know you are Jewish? How can you be sure? There was a pause. I suppose, said Anne, I suppose because my mother and father are Jews, I suppose their mothers and fathers were too. I thought it that much, and probably started talking about it that week. Well, I think it's silly, said Elsbeth. It's silly about Adolf Hitler, people being Jews and everything. Okay? Yeah, it's silly. You know? But due to the fact, okay, their family are Jewish, okay, even though clearly Anne and her family don't practice, they're automatically targets. Anne's father is a writer and is critical of the Nazi regime, and that makes him a target. He's a very, very popular writer too, okay? So, this bit here. Here we go. Right. This is when it's actually put to Anne and what it's all about, okay? It's quite simple, said Mama. Papa thinks Hitler and the Nazis might win the election. If that happened, he might not want to live in Germany while they were in power, nor would any of us. Because we're Jews. Not only because we're Jews. Papa thinks that no one will be allowed to say what they thought anymore and be able to write. Nazis don't like people to disagree with them. Okay? Mama drank some of her coffee and looked more cheerful. Of course that may never happen, and if it did, it probably won't last so long, maybe 6 months. But at the moment we don't know. Our father flees to Switzerland, okay? And then they're told very quickly, just before the elections, to get out of Germany, okay? To get the hell out of Dodge. They have to pack what they own very, very quickly and decide. Anna and Max, her brother, have only got to take a suitcase. Or the most important things, okay? Their clothes, most treasured possessions. And Anne has to decide what toy to take. Does she take Pink Rabbit, okay? I hate the stole Pink Rabbit. Or does she take a stuffed dog, okay? This newly acquired wooden dog. There you go. This bit here. This bit kind of sums up, okay, what do you take? What's important? Well, human life, obviously, okay, but, hey. So she chose Pink Rabbit, which had been her companions ever since she could remember. or a newly acquired wooden dog, and depicted to leave the dog when she had no time to play with it. And Henpai packed it for her. Henpai is a family servant, by the way. Max took his football. They could all have more things sent to them in Switzerland, said Mama, and it looked as though they were going to stay there for a very long time. Right. Yeah, but that doesn't happen. They go to Switzerland, and as soon as they get there, it explained to them that the day after the elections, shortly after, everything in the house was confiscated. All their everything left behind, all their toys, everything. The house is now empty. They have nothing left. They have nothing to go back to. So they have to start building this new life in Switzerland. Okay, and even from there, this is from the point of view of a child. The threat of Nazism is always in the shadow, always in the background. Now, the family friend, okay, a gentleman called Uncle Julius, okay, he goes to Switzerland to see them. However, he refuses to leave Nazi Germany. Okay, this bit here. Right. Papa said, Julius, don't go back, stay here with us, you won't be safe in Germany. What, me? Said Uncle Julius in his high voice. Who's going to bother with me? I'm only interested in animals, I'm not political, I'm not even Jewish, unless you count my poor old grandmother. Julius, you don't understand, said Papa. The situation's bound to change, said Uncle Julius. Okay? And then there was a seaman puffing towards them. Goodbye, old friend. He embraced Papa and Mama and both children. Anyway, the monkeys at the zoo would miss me. Okay? Right. Because, but to the Nazis, it doesn't matter if your grandmother was Jewish. Okay? Uncle has a target on his back. And that's the shadow always across this. And Anna had to settle into this life as being a refugee. And as reminders, 1 minute it's this wonderful kind of family kind of life, and then because they're Jewish, because of this, because of that, because they're refugees, okay, people look down upon them, people kind of scorn them as well, okay. And it's an interesting kind of because this was all through the point of view of a 9-year-old who's been thrust into this world and hearing things that of course no child should, okay. And the traditions at the school as well is the fact that Anna has been part of a segregated, become parts of a segregated school, okay? Boys play together, girls play together, okay? Now, funnily enough, due to the Nazi regime, when they moved in, they often did segregate the classes as well, okay? Boys were taught to become good German soldiers, and girls were taught to become good little housewives, okay? Good little housefraus, okay? And marry and have babies to continue the Nazi regime, okay. It's the same kind of mentality actually at the school, okay, that she sent to in Switzerland. And Anna is quite independent, and she had so many friends who are boys again. She kind of breaks ranks, and as she did, she makes her they actually start to like her. She starts to play with the boys, and due to the kind of custom and tradition of the day, okay, to show their affection of her, they throw things at her. Now you would think reading this, okay, they throw things at her out of violence, out of malevolence, but because that's what this family's kind of been enduring. But no, absolutely not. This bit here, okay? This is when this bandy-legged boy, okay, he's been throwing shoes at Anna, okay? Because most time they don't really wear shoes, okay? Right. I won't let you go, said Mama. I won't let you go until you tell me why you did it, okay? The bandy-legged boy looked hopeless at Mama, then he blushed and mumbled something. What? Saying the bandy-legged boy grew desperate. Because we love her, he shouted at the top of his voice. We did it because we love her. Okay? Because they love you, Mum said to Anna. But when later they consulted Max, he seemed not very surprised. It's what they do here, he said. When they're in love with someone, they throw things at them. Okay? Right. Well, surely there's other ways for them to express their love. Max shrugged. It's what they do, he added. Really, Anna, you should be honoured. Okay? Right. A few days later, Anna saw him in the village throwing unripe apples at Rosalie. Max was very adaptable. Okay, so... But also in this, Anna's still growing up. She hits her 10th birthday, and of course, 10th birthday, double figures, kind of a big deal. She's spending it under the regime of the Nazis. She's spending it as a refugee. Her life is, it's a reminder. Constant reminder of what she's missed out on, what she's lost. And instead of having a day dedicated to her, it's a day of Papa giving talks on a steamer ship and having a picnic. And it's not what she wants. And it's not the fact that Anna's selfish. It's the fact that she's only a child. Okay? Everyone's trying to make the best of the situation. But Anna, of course, her birthday is not what she hoped it would be. Okay? Right. And explain to her on her 10th birthday what Anna actually is. And it's a refugee. Okay? Right. Of course, we didn't know that we'd been spending your 10th birthday streaming about Lake Zurich as refugees from Hitler. Is refugees someone who's had to leave their home? Asked Anna. Someone seeks refuge in another country, said Papa. I don't think I'm quite used to being one yet, said Anna. It's not a feeling. You live in a country all your life, suddenly it's taken over by thugs, and there you are on your own in a strange place with nothing. Right. It looks so cheerful when he said this, Anna asked. Don't you mind? In a way, said Papa. But I find it very interesting. Yeah. But Anna comes to the mentality of, I don't mind being a refugee. It's okay. It's okay. But even then, even in a safe Switzerland, okay, neutral Switzerland, Papa is struggling to find work. Papa, because he's a Nazi, they don't want to destroy the neutrality of the situation. So he's struggling, okay. Nazism is always the constant threat. It's the shadow in the corner, okay. And there's a bit where Anna and her brother can't play with children because these children are Nazis, and mama won't have it. Okay, she actually has it out with them. Okay, right, this bit here. Right, this bit here. Right, the Nazis, she said at last, have forbidden their children to play with us because our children are Jewish. Her voice was high indignation. I don't want me to keep my voice down. Okay. Right, well, Papa's mouth tightened. I will not dream of allowing Anna and Max to play with the children of Nazis, she says, so there's no difficulty. But then it means her own friends, okay, have to make a choice of to play with the Nazi kids or play with the Jewish kids, and they choose the Jewish kids, of course, clearly. But there's that, okay, it's choosing a side. Even in safe Switzerland, it's still choosing a side. And then father gets this opportunity, okay, to write in Paris, okay, which, if you know your history, when I read this, I felt the caution kicking in, because Paris was occupied during the war. But we haven't got to this point yet in history, okay? But even then, they're not safe, okay? There's always that constant threat. There's this absolutely harrowing moment when they're on the train to Paris, but suddenly a porter put them on the wrong train to Stuttgart to go back to Germany, okay? Because Papa is a target. There's basically posters out for Papa due to his writing, okay? Right, this bit here. Right, Anna straightened up. A bottom of the window came into view. There was a printed notice stuck on it. It read Stuttgart. Papa screamed, Anna, this is the wrong train. It's going to Germany. Good God, get off the train quick. Okay? Right. Yeah, always that threat until they get to, at the time. And there's a question is, was it intentional or was it not? And of course, it was intentional. Okay? But at the time, the parents are playing it down to the children. It was probably an accident, okay? It wasn't intentional. It was intentional. This guy wanted he probably would have called ahead and said, the family's on this train heading to Stuttgart. I'll take that bounty now. So, and one thing as well is, clearly, even though Anna's family are Jewish, okay? Let's say the Kerr family, okay? They celebrate Christmas. Okay, and they talk about Christmas in Paris, and of course the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. And there's one bit I absolutely adored when they talk about going up the top of the Eiffel Tower, which they say no to because you have to pay to get to the top and go any further than that. They never got to the top of the Eiffel Tower, and neither did Hitler. Okay, when the Nazis occupied Paris, the gears for the Eiffel Tower, they were removed. Okay, they were taken off. Okay, and they disappeared for the end of the war, till they were literally the day of the liberation. They were put back in. Now, I have read the story that the general in charge of occupied Paris, okay, was given the order to destroy the Eiffel Tower, and the story goes he refused. Okay, he refused to destroy the Eiffel Tower. Would take kudos, but Hitler never got to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Okay, so hey. That's story that I've read, and so they're in Paris and talking about Christmas. Okay, what Christmas is like in Paris. Okay, and the financial situations, okay, you can kind of see when everyone else's lives is becoming more modest. Now, they went from being in Germany to having quite a nice home to having privilege, they had a maid hen pie, to literally nothing. Now, the circumstances are reduced, but they're doing the best under the circumstances. Okay? Right. Do you think we have a tree? She asked Max. In Berlin, there's always been a big tree in the hall, and one of the lights of Christmases have been to recognise many coloured glass balls, the birds with the feather tails, and the trumpets which you could actually blow as they reappeared each year to decorate. I left in the French to go in for Christmas trees, very much, said Max. Mum managed to get one just the same when Papa called the children at tea time on Christmas Eve for the celebrations to begin. They rushed into the dining room. It was the first thing Anna saw. It was a little tree about 2 feet high, and instead of a glass ornaments, Mum had hung it with tinsel, covered it with little candies. It looked so pretty, shining green and silver above the red oilcloth for the table, that Anna suddenly knew that Christmas would be okay. But of course, Christmas is now modest, okay? It's now modest. The circumstances are reduced, whereas her family are struggling. But also, pride comes a lot with this too, okay? They've got Anna's mother, she could play piano, but she'd never really held down a job. Now she's learning cooking, housekeeping, things that she never learned before. Papa is struggling, with his writing to find some work. And it's the pride of they can't even admit, even to their friends and family, okay, if they reduce circumstances. So there's a bit here, okay, with great Aunt Sarah, okay, right, but her mother's family, okay, and this bit here, right, is when after the ladies have come and they've ate basically for a lady's cake, right, this bit here. It's no use offering these to these old ladies. They're much too careful of their diets. I thought if you have a tea after they're gone, so she said, slapped a large portion of apple flan onto a plate topped with whipped cream and handed it to Anna. These children need feeding. During tea, she asked Mama questions about Papa's work and about the flat, and sometimes Mama had repeat her answers into the ear trumpet. Mama talked about everything quite cheerfully, but great Aunt Sarah shaking her head and saying to have lived like this, such a distinguished man. Okay? And so often she would look at Anna and say, that child's so skinny, and ply with some more cake. Right? And then our great Aunt Sarah pulls out cloth, okay, to make new clothes. And Mama's pride kicks in, okay, about taking it, because this is stuff for charity. This is stuff, okay, for people who need help, needy children. But Anna is one of them. She needs new clothes. She's growing out of. The children are doing their best, but looking a bit shabby, okay. They need new clothes, but the pride gets in, because to turn around, okay, and say, I need help to where I've been before is quite difficult, okay. Right. Here we go. This is when, okay, they're going through the clothes bags. The children need new clothes. Why shouldn't they have it? She rummaged into one of the boxes and pulled out some thick woolen material in a lovely shade of green. It's nice for a coat and a dress she needs, and maybe a skirt. Okay? But Papa, okay, this bit here. Papa is still won't having it, okay, because it's very interesting as well, okay. Mama is being forced, okay, into this maternal role to take on, to try to keep this house together. Papa, perhaps being a writer, is more kind of away of it a little bit more. The mentality of it's going to be okay, what his wife is running the home. And he's got this kind of veil, okay, over their circumstances, okay. He's kind of the idealist, whereas Mama is the realist, right? And it's interesting kind of the economy going on too, okay, regarding how these parents are kind of seeing the world, okay. This bit here. It's a present from Anna from a relative, said Mama. No, said Papa. It's a present from a relative who runs a charity for needy children. All right, then we give it back, shouted Mama, if that's what you want. But tell me what the child is going to wear. Do you know the price of children's clothing shops? Look at her. Just look at her. Okay? Right. She told Anna tugged at her skirt to make it look longer. Papa, she said, you do look a bit needy, said Papa. His face looked very tired. Right. It doesn't matter, said Anna. Yes, it does. It does matter. Right. It does matter. So Mama, who's never cooked before, all she could do is play the piano, suddenly becomes a bit more domesticated at this French school that Anna's going to learn the language, doing very, very good at it, okay? And Mama's life is, as it's all done, okay, through Anna's eyes, Anna never really thinks, okay, about her parents, and there's more than abstract terms. But you can see how desperate for their circumstances is when you read this. But Anna can't, clearly. At home, Mum was becoming a really good cook, helped with advice from Mama Fernand and Papa, so they never eaten so well in his life. Our children learned to enjoy all sorts of foods they had never heard before, like a mixture of wine and water with their meals like French children. Okay? Here you go. Yeah. But when they go back to Switzerland, at the time, okay, France is still a safe country, Switzerland is still neutral. When they go back to Switzerland, okay, to see their friends and family, okay, spend some time over there, the change in Anna. Now, Anna is still growing up, okay? She's kind of dealing with these circumstances, but how people see her is different. She is a refugee, okay? People actually seen her as a refugee. And she's a bit unclear, okay, about how she even feels about that, okay? Right. You know you're different somehow, Vanelli has said to Anna. I'm not. Yes, you are, said Vanelli. I don't know what it is, but you've changed. Nonsense, cried Anna. Of course I haven't. But she knew that Vanelli was right, and suddenly thought she was only 11. She felt quite old and sad. Yeah, Vanelli was her friend in Switzerland. Yeah. And little things, as the time goes on, okay, the family circumstances get more desperate. Is Papa, he doesn't see, he thinks that he can kind of smooth this over. Okay, now of course, due to the kind of mentality of the day, as I mentioned, okay, of Papa doing everything domestic, being the one cooking, sewing, taking care of the kids, mending, okay, they mention that because he's being a starve, he's being an artiste, but hey, you try not to get your family to starve, okay? It's okay being a starving artist, okay? When you've got a family to support, that's not, okay? And, this bit here, right? He always gets Mama a sewing machine, okay? Instead of picking up a needle and thread himself, he gets a sewing machine, right? And it's a second-hand sewing machine, and it's broken. It just shows mentality in such a broad way, okay? Right. Of course it's not new, said Papa, and it may need to be cleaned, but you're able to mend the pillowcases and socks of it and make the children's clothes without asking Madame Fernand. Don't know how to make clothes, said Mama, and you can't mend socks with a sewing machine. She was absolutely horrified. Whatever it is you do with a sewing machine, said Papa. Dora stared at the thing on the table. It did not look for Anna that would do anything. How much did it cost, said Mama. Don't worry about it, said Papa. They paid me for the extra article I wrote for the Daily Parisian today. As that Mum became quite frantic. But we need that money, she said. Don't you remember? I have to pay the rent and the butcher and Annie's new shoes. So we're using money from the article to pay for them. Papa's forgot. Mum is running the house. Now, obviously, okay, there's a massive row about this and they get their money back, okay? But it kind of sums up the difference in their mentality, okay? But at no point, okay, does Papa just pick up needle and thread and do it himself, okay? To help out his family. He's too busy writing, right? All the burdens on this is on Mama, okay? She doesn't actually have a name, by the way. She's called Mama and Papa, which is fine. Yeah, the burden is on this, okay? However, Anna idolizes her father, but at the same time, okay, she doesn't really consider what her mother is going through. Right, and also within this, okay, there's a sibling rivalry between Max and Anna, right? Now, Max is an individual who struggled a lot with school, his education. He'd rather go fishing, okay, and catch nothing than apply himself. But there's a bit, Anna finds learning languages quite easy. She picks up Swiss and then she picks up French, okay? Right, this bit here, right, here we go, right, this bit here, okay? And Anna's won many awards in the last 2 years, okay? Right. I've won the Prix d'Excellence. I think it means I'm the best student in the class. Of course, there was delight and praise from everyone. Even Papa was interrupting his typing to hear the great news. Anna thought it was just wonderful as everyone else, but she could not just help wishing it just come at this very moment. She had worked so hard and for so long about passing the certificate of aptitudes, which is a certificate to actually pass your grade, which Anna's actually taken in French. After all this, even if she did pass, how could anyone be impressed? Ever since her success, okay, and how it's all done. Right. So, and the thing is, as time wears on, Anna's kind of realization, okay, what she really is, okay, the frustration. Now, her parents have been doing the best to shield her from the situation of the Nazi threats, but it's becoming to occupy every single thought. Now, she is 11 by this point. Her mentality is totally changed and she's frustrated. Her parents' actions and some ways inactions, guys, trickled down to her. She's become so frustrated and angry, okay? Not to take away the fact that she's growing up, it's the fact that she's growing up under these circumstances. She's realising, I am a refugee, I've had my life ripped away from me, okay? And she's angry and frustrated, but she can't do anything about it because of her age. Oh, here we go. Alright. She hated the French papers for not asking Papa to write for them, and she hated the French film companies for rejecting his film. And most of all, she hated being always so short of money that even the purchase of small necessities, like a new tube of toothpaste, became a major worry. Okay? Right. Yeah. She starts to worry, okay, about her family circumstances in a way, okay, that no child should. But then, luckily, her script her father writes gets picked up by a company in England, and they want the family to come over to Safe Haven in England, which mercifully, even though it almost did, it was never occupied. You know, this country was pretty much became the last blockade against the Nazis. But hey. And they have to move again. They've had to move, okay, from Germany to Switzerland to France. Now they've got to move to the UK. And the emotional toll it takes on Anna is absolutely quite horrific, okay? About what she's been through. She just wants to feel safe. Her safety net has been pulled from her. Here you go. Right. I know, but it's different if you haven't got a home. If you haven't got a home, you've got to be with your people. So the parent-stricken faces and burst out. I know we have no choice, but I know you're making it more difficult, but I've never minded being a refugee before. In fact, I loved it. For the last 2 years when we've been refugees have been much better than we stayed in Germany. They've sent us away now, I'll be terribly frightened. Terribly frightened of what? That I might finally really feel like one, said Anna. She burst into tears. Okay? At the time, okay, there's talk of her going back to Switzerland. Okay? But the family decided to stick together. Now, I mentioned Uncle Julius. Now, Uncle Julius, who throughout this entire book has been writing and sending letters about, also in coded language, okay, from an aunt. They find out what happened to him. When I said, okay, the threat of the Nazis is always in the shadows, it comes for him. It's a reminder, okay, of what was happening back in Germany at this time. Anna and her family found safe haven in 3 separate countries, okay? France briefly, clearly, okay? Switzerland, France, and then Germany. But for the Germans who made it to stay thinking it was all blow over, it wouldn't. Right. This bit here. Right. Just before Christmas, the blow finally fallen. Uncle Julius had received an official letter revoking his pass to the zoo. The reason was given, the fact they had a Jewish grandmother was enough. Okay? Oh, he was a zoologist. Okay? After this, Uncle Julius had changed. He could not sleep and did not eat properly. He no longer talked to her Rosenfarb, but spent the Sundays in his room, staring at the sparrows on the rooftop opposite. At last late one night in spring, he knocked on her Rosen's door and begged him, and when he went to Paris, to take him to Papa. Right. Rosen had explained he would not be going for some time yet, but Uncle Julius had said, never mind, I'll give it to you now. Next morning, Uncle Julius had been found dead, an empty bottle of sleeping tablets beside him. Right. However, Rosen had not been able to leave Germany for still 7 months later, but can't want to see Papa and deliver the parcel. Right, there's a note. The handwriting was meticulous as ever. Goodbye, I wish you well, and it was signed Julius. Right. So the packing for Germany, and the thing is Uncle Julius's death is really kind of dismissed quite quickly because the family hasn't got time, okay, to sit there and mourn for him as you would. They have to move again now to England, okay? And as they're packing up their bags again for this next move, the last move, okay, because Judith Kerr finished up her life in the UK and Right the Tiger Came to Tea, which is a wonderful book. They note that everything they pack each time they get smaller and smaller. They've gone from packing what they could to go to Switzerland, to then Paris, to virtually taking nothing. Because, hey, everything else, okay, Pink Rabbit, the Games Compendium, onwards, as ever isn't important. Now, to even write this book, I could so feel Judith Kerr's passion for this. This is not just a fictional story, this is the story of her life, of her family, okay? They weren't practicing Jews, but they were still targets. And the way it's described, everything from Anne's point of view, is so captivating. Now, obviously, I've spoiled a lot of it, and hopefully I'll be able to get hold of the others, but I felt Adam's journey every single step of the way, and I absolutely adored this book. So I do recommend it. When it hit the store, Pink Rabbit, please read it. I know I've probably spoiled it, but it's been out for decades, and I would love to see a film or a TV adaptation of this. I think it'd be absolutely marvellous. So, Judith Kerr's When It Hit the Store, Pink Rabbit, please read it. It's amazing. And 20 books 2023.